Hello. I want to tell you a sad story of sorts, but it actually turned into a happy story that taught me to trust my intuition a little bit more than I had been doing. So that's the reason for this. I wanted to come on and just tell you this little tale because it has meaning to it and it actually has wisdom behind it. So, got my coffee. It's a bit cold here today, so I've got, look at my Animal Crossing mug. It's quite cute because it starts off this black colour, like you can see at the top. And if you put hot liquid in it, it changes colour and all the little Animal Crossing characters change on it. Anyway, by the by. So anyway, the story. We lost our kitten. Now, if you watch my channel regularly, you would have seen my video with Bianca, our kitten that we got a couple of months ago. On Tuesday this week, she didn't come home. So she'd gone out as normal at around about sort of 10:30. I'd been in the office, sat right where I am now, and in front of me here there's a window. And it was a nice day, so I'd had the window open. I'd been filming some stuff. I'd been doing some workbooks for my course that I'm doing. And Bianca had been in here with me knocking around. She went out the window and just like I didn't think anything of it. She just went off to play and I was like, yeah, that's okay. She normally goes out. Anyway, about 1 o'clock when I had my lunch and I'm normally thinking about going to pick up the girls from school at this point, I realised she hadn't come back. And so I started to call her and I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's only been a couple of hours. She'll be somewhere. She'll be playing somewhere. Went to pick the girls up from school, brought them back. So now it's 3:30. She's been gone since about 10:30. It's not normal. Normally she's back and she sort of knocks around with us for the evening until she goes out again for a little play to get the kitten crazies out of herself before she comes back in for bed. Anyway, we hadn't seen her. We had tea. The other two cats had been knocking around. They'd had their dinner. Bianca hadn't come back. Hannah, the youngest, who's my 10-year-old, she was getting worried by this point because she's like, she always comes back for food. She always wants her food. Where is she? Where has she gone? And I'm trying to play it down. And I'm just like, she'll be fine. She'll be fine. It hasn't been long enough yet. You watch around about 11 o'clock at night when we've all settled down. She'll come trotting in through the window and she'll spend the night on the end of my bed like she normally does. Anyway, we got to 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. Hannah had gone to bed but got up again and was like, she's still not back. She's still not back. You have to go and look for her. And I kind of went, okay, all right. If I'm going to get Hannah back into bed, I've got to go look for her. So as I'm getting changed, because I have my jammies on, as I'm getting changed, I asked my higher self, because I've been learning and connecting to my higher self more and more recently. My higher self's called B or Betha. So I was given both. And when I looked into it, Betha is actually the Irish name for Beatrice. So she goes by Beatrice, Betha, or B. And actually, since I've had this connection with B, bees land on me all the time. It's literally no joke. It's the weirdest thing. Whenever I need to talk to her about something, a bee will come and will land on me. I had the first time I connected with her, a bee came and landed on my chest here. I was sat in the car. I kid you not, my window was open about this far and this bee flew in and landed on my chest and looked at me and just sat there for about 5 minutes. It was the most calming but also freakiest thing that I've ever had. And since then, those type of things happen more and more and more. Anyway, that's an aside, right? So anyway, as I'm getting dressed out of my pajamas to go and look for her, I sort of said to Beatrice, can you help me? I need to find her. I need to know she's okay. Can you help me? And I instantly got this hit of, there'll be no point walking around the street. She's not there. And I was like, okay, is that me? Sort of, I wasn't trusting enough, I don't think, because I'm like, is that me not wanting to go and wander around the streets at night? Or is that actually real? So I didn't trust myself enough. I didn't trust what came through enough. And I went and I wandered around the streets. And as I'm walking around the 3 streets where I thought she might be, all the time I'm getting She's locked in a shed. She's locked in a shed. You won't find her tonight. She's locked in a shed. And I didn't trust the voices loud enough. I didn't trust that, even though I know, because I'm connected to B, and I knew, and I'd asked her for help, I still didn't trust enough that she was giving me the answers. If only I had trusted then, I could have saved so much angst. So I didn't trust. I'm wandering around. I can't find her. I come back. Hannah's beside herself. And I did, at that point, I did say to Hannah and Chloe, I did say, she'll be locked somewhere. She'll be okay. I know she's going to be okay. She'll be locked in somewhere and we'll find her in the morning. So that was the only way I could get the girls to go to bed. Right, by playing it down, by showing them that I wasn't worried, by giving them the little snippet that actually B had given me, and by saying to them, she's going to be okay. I know she's going to be okay. And I went to bed that night and I knew in my heart of hearts, I knew that she was going to be okay. Even though she'd never stayed out all night before, she'd never not come home before, she'd never not come back for dinner and food before. She's quite still getting the effects of, the big virus. She's never missed dinner time. She's very food driven. But I just went to sleep that night with a knowing that she was going to be okay. And I got up the next morning, and the very first thing that I got when I woke up is check the perimeter of your garden and call her. I don't know why. I have no clue why. But again, I swear that this was my intuition, that this was B giving me a message. So I went out. My garden is in front of me now. I always film and there's a window in front of me with my back garden. And so I'm looking at the perimeter of my garden where I was looking. I went out and I went to the back corner and I saw in front of me a shed that was obviously locked. And so now I'm putting two and two together and I'm like, she's locked in a shed. Go to the perimeter of your garden and call her. So I went into the corner where this locked shed was and I called her name and I heard the most ridiculous amount of meowing ever. And I knew that she'd been locked just as I'd been told, just as my intuition, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, just as I'd known pretty much from the minute she went missing that she was locked in a shed and that I wasn't going to get her back that night, and that there was no point walking around the garden because she wouldn't hear me, walking around the streets because she wouldn't hear me. She was locked in the back shed. So I went out, I got dressed again, I went round to my neighbours, we found her, she came back happy as Larry, and I got back into the garden, I got back into my house where my girls are going crazy because she's home, and I was like, I asked for help. I asked where she was and I was told in no uncertain terms where she was. If I had listened, I could have saved all of the angst of the girls. I could have gone straight to the place where she was, straight to the house where she was, and asked them if I could check their shed because I think my kitten is locked in there. So the moral to this story that started off sad but ended up happy because we got her back and she's here and it's all wonderful is listen to your intuition. If you are growing a connection with your intuition, with your higher self, with the universe, whatever it is, if you are growing that connection and you ask for help, you are going to get help. You are going to be guided. All our job, all we have to do is listen and trust in the guidance. And if I'd done that, and I should know better, right? If I'd done that, I could have saved us all a whole lot of heartache. I could have saved the girls from thinking they'd lost their kitten. I could have saved a sleepless night. I could have saved poor Bianca being petrified and scared and hungry. I could have got her back earlier if only I'd listened. So that is the moral of this story. If you are growing a spiritual connection, if you are developing it, if you are trying to evolve in some way in this area of your life, you have to trust what you are being given. You have to trust the signs. You have to trust the voices, whatever they are. You have to trust that the guidance you are being given is correct, because it will be. It always is. The answers, they're always inside us. If we are trusting enough to believe and to listen, we find everything. So that is the moral of this kind of sad but now happy story, because Bianca's home. Listen to your intuition, trust it, follow it. You will always get the answers you need. Yeah, so that was a roundabout way. It was quite a long-winded round the houses way of getting to what I wanted to say, but I thought that story and what happened to me and to Bianca actually went some way to prove that if you listen, you will get guided in the right direction. You just have to trust. So yeah, that's it from me for this week. Yeah, Bianca was on the bed last night. Don't think she's going anywhere. Don't think she's going very far for the next few days, but that's nice because it's kind of comforting that she's home, and yeah, the family is complete again. So yeah, that's it for this week, and I will see you next week with some more. Bye.